2024. Jeffrey Epstein's secret bank account is still moving millions and no one knows why, but received roughly 12.9 million in the months afterwards. So there's the headline: Jeffrey Epstein's secret bank account is still moving millions and no one knows why. Well, here's one from just July 8th from Niall Bradley. Says 12 million total was transferred from Epstein's estate after he died to an offshore bank account he had previously set up in the Virgin Islands. A lawyer told a local judge it was sent by mistake.
This sex trafficking case was very important to the Department of Justice and to me personally. I was appalled, and indeed the whole department was, and frankly, angry to learn of the MCC's failure to adequately secure this prisoner.
And found documents unsealed in Epstein's case the day before he died eroded his status in prison. And they believe that coupled with the few interpersonal connections and the fact that he was potentially facing the rest of his life in prison, all were likely contributing factors to his death.
The cell remains shrouded in mystery. Hours of CCTV footage were released, supposedly to provide answers, yet instead they opened the door to even more questions. Every frame, every movement, and every unsettling silence will now be laid bare. If Jeffrey Epstein never truly died, but was instead removed from public view, the people who would feel the greatest fear are not journalists or casual observers. The real danger would fall upon the political elites, the international tycoons, and the intelligence agencies that once benefited from his network. Epstein was never simply a wealthy man with a private island. He was a node in a system of power, finance, and secrets. If he is alive, he represents a living archive capable of destabilizing some of the world's most influential institutions. For decades, Epstein cultivated ties with U.S. politicians, appearing with them at exclusive galas and whisking them away on his infamous jet, the Lolita Express. The flight logs, already public in part, reveal the names of presidents, senators, and high-profile lobbyists. If Epstein is alive and able to speak freely, those logs become more than historical curiosities, they turn into weapons. What terrifies American politicians is not only the risk of being directly accused of misconducting, but also the exposure of backroom deals arranged in Epstein's carefully curated social environment. Epstein was rumored to hoard political insurance recordings, documents, and journals chronicling his guests and their indiscretions. A single leak could destroy reputations, derail campaigns, and force resignations. In a polarized America, where elections hinge on razor-thin margins, Epstein's testimony or documents could detonate like a political bomb, wiping out careers across the aisle. For some, the mere possibility of his survival is a nightmare scenario. Every handshake, every photo, log may come back to haunt them. The shadow stretches beyond Washington. Across Europe and Asia, Epstein's name has been linked to royalty and billionaires. Prince Andrew, entangled in accusations brought forward by Virginia Gifford, exemplifies how association with Epstein can erode public standing. If Epstein remains alive, any further disclosure could deepen the monarchy's crisis, undermining the institution's fragile legitimacy in the 21st century. The scandal would not remain a personal matter, but could become an existential challenge for the crown. On the billionaire front, figures like Bill Gates and Leslie Wexner would be equally endangered. Gates admitted to meeting Epstein multiple times even after Epstein's 2008 conviction, a revelation that has already tarnished his image. Wexner's financial entanglements were even deeper. Epstein at one point controlled access to his fortune. Should Epstein resurface, he could reveal offshore transfers, secret trusts, and clandestine meetings with world leaders. In the high-stakes world of global finance, reputational collapse equates to a loss of influence and leverage. For these individuals, Epstein's survival would not merely mean embarrassment. It could mean a rapid erosion of the power structures they have spent decades building. Perhaps the most alarmed of all would be the intelligence services, the CIA MA6, and Mossad foremost among them. For years, whispers circulated that Epstein was not just a sex trafficker, but an intelligence asset. His partnership with Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of Robert Maxwell, a man long suspected of ties to Israeli intelligence, reinforces the notion. According to this view, Epstein's properties functioned as honey traps, gathering compromising material on politicians, businessmen, and diplomats for use in covert operations. If Epstein still lives, the nightmare for these agencies is not that he might reveal the identities of wealthy clients, but that he could expose the mechanics of intelligence campaigns themselves. Surveillance programs, influence operations, even blackmail strategies all could be dragged into the light. Such revelations would not only devastate public trust, but also ignite diplomatic crises as governments confront evidence of interference and manipulation by supposed allies. For intelligence communities, Epstein was a double-edged sword, an asset when under control, but a catastrophic liability if allowed to speak or fall into the hands of adversaries. When one considers these three spheres together with American politicians, international elites, and intelligence operatives, a common thread emerges. All of them harbor something they desperately need hidden. Epstein, alive, embodies the uncontrollable. He knows who flew, who paid, who asked for favors, and who covered up. He may hold recordings, contracts, and confessions. If he chooses, he could destabilize entire governments, ruin dynasties, and cripple agencies sworn to secrecy. The fear is not only about the past, but about losing control over the present and future. A single statement from Epstein could alter the trajectory of an election, trigger the abdication of a royal figure, or collapse public faith in intelligence institutions. That is why, for many in power, it is not enough that Epstein is presumed dead. They must ensure he stays silenced forever. His survival would be more threatening than his life imprisonment, because a hidden Epstein could reemerge at any moment, unleashing chaos that no political machine, billionaire empire, or clandestine service could fully contain. Thus, if Epstein is alive, the most threatened people are not ordinary citizens, but the very architects of global influence. Politicians who courted his favor, royals who leaned on his discretion, and agencies that may have exploited his operations, all would be forced into a state of permanent defense. His existence would remain the ultimate wildcard, capable of unraveling decades of carefully guarded power. The truth of whether Epstein still walks free may never be proven, but the mere possibility explains why so many tremble at his name. If he lives, he is not just a man in hiding. He is a time bomb of secrets, and the entire world of power knows that when it detonates, no one standing near will escape untouched. If Jeffrey